Hello, my name's Pitloun. Today I'm going to be here to talk to you guys a little bit about, the Romans, the early Roman Republic, who the Romans were, why they were able to defend their city so well, and how they kept their citizens so happy with just a massive empire covering pretty much all the Italian peninsula. So, Rome was the first republic of its kind pretty much in its day. There really wasn't any other thing. So when Rome became its own republic after it overthrew the Equestrian monarchy, they felt threatened because they were small and weak, so they just started slowly attacking every other, city-state or any other small empire and slowly just taking over the rest of the Italian peninsula. Pretty soon they took over almost 90% of that whole Italian peninsula, and soon after that they took over the whole thing. It was all under Roman territory, and then they eventually started expanding out to some into Persia, Asia Minor, all the other type of countries. Now the Roman people just weren't known for their generals or their soldiers. They were also known for their political leaders, like Julius Caesar and can't remember his name. Now, one of the biggest parts of the Roman society was family, and it wasn't just because family was important. Family was its own social organization itself, because you had what was called a pater family. The father was at the head and everybody else was the subordinates. So you had, your political organizations, and you had family as its own social organization. So I talked a little bit about how, what the Romans were about and who they were. Now I just want to talk about how the Romans were able to defend a massive empire such as that. During the early stages of Rome used what was called a Greek formation called a phalanx, which was a rectangular formation where they would have soldiers on all sides with their shields pointing outward and then shields on top of them. So arrows, rocks couldn't get inside, and the only thing that could really get out of that phalanx was a spear that they could thrust and then open up and then use their short thrusting sword to cut down the enemy. And then soon after that, a man named Julius Caesar came into power, and he developed what was called the Roman Legion, which instead of early Rome's army was a permanent army with more permanent soldiers that would stay in for more than just the off-season of farming. They would stay in all year round and fight. And Julius Caesar also had a saying about war. It said, "Fortune, which has a great deal of power in other things, but especially in war." Now, the way the Roman Republic and later on the Roman Empire kept its people so happy was by building what is called a Colosseum. In the Colosseums they held the gladiator games, the Olympics, and they also held theater, tragic comedy, and just regular drama. Now, the gladiator games were when they would pit prisoners and slaves against wild animals like lions or bears, stuff like that. And then they would also pit each other up against, each other, 2 or 3 men going against one guy. And as I mentioned, the only people who did really fight in those gladiator games were slaves and prisoners. But, sometimes you'd get the occasional Roman Empire who wanted to be a gladiator and try and sign up, or just a random person who wants to go be a gladiator. Now, during one particular part of Roman history, it was real bad. The economy was bad, food production was real low, and everything was bad. Certain Roman emperors would hold gladiator games every day for a whole entire year just to try and keep the morale up of the people in the empire. So that concludes my speech. I thank you all for coming out and listening to it. Y'all are a great audience, and I just wanted to, go over the main points. Who were the Romans, how they defended their city, and how they kept their people so happy. I'm glad y'all could, listen to my speech. Thank you. Appreciate it.